all the Juggalos in recovery.
Welcome everybody to another Rolling for Topic meeting. My name is Frank. I'll be running the meeting tonight. Juggalos in Recovery is about the community in recovery. There is no judging here. Everyone is unique and so is their recovery. Our topic tonight is going to be rolled off of what I like to call the gym list. It is the Juggalo Improvement Meeting List. Please feel free to talk about your experience. This meeting is about an hour long. For any newcomers, we appreciate strength and humility you bring to the meeting, and we are happy you are here, or happy you're watching it on YouTube. Well, now let's roll some dice. Share screen. Can you guys see it? All right. I'm not going to show you my dice because I got a fancy background tonight, but we rolled a 4, which is addiction roadblocks. We'll scroll down to 4. Give me a 13 or a 17. I'm going to use one of those. Haha, I rolled a 17. All right. Negative self-talk and self-pity. And now we got to roll again to get another meeting talk. So we got another 4. And 28, unworthiness. Ooh. So we have negative self-talk and self-pity and unworthiness. This is ironic to me because, let me stop sharing my screen real quick. I'll type the topic meeting in the chat. Give me a second. All right, so to me, for me, this is ironic because negative self-talk and has come up a lot lately on my side of my brain because of the new things that I'm learning. I've come to a point that I've realized that I'm good at my current job. Um, let me think. So I've come to a point that I've realized I'm good at my current job to the point where I do so many things without thinking about them. So it's automatic, it's muscle memory. I've done them so many times that I don't really have to think, I just do. And then I'm also going through stuff to learn new things that I know I'm not good at, turning a weakness into a strength. And one of the things I'm working on is being better at communicating through my writing so I can publish a better book this time. And in the one of the courses I'm taking, it talks about imposter syndrome. And I think the person who came up with the term imposter syndrome said that they would prefer to call it the oh, what did they say? It wasn't imposter syndrome. It was uh, the imposter effect or something like that. But anyways, it has to do with wordplay and all that. But dealing with imposter syndrome, talking yourself down, and I think all three of these things, negative self-talk and self-pity and unworthiness, all play right into the role of we just ain't good enough for anybody else. We're not good enough to be here. We're not good enough for them. We're not good enough for ourselves. We're, if you go deep enough, we're just better off not on this planet. And that's where a lot of us have gone down to and hit our rock bottom by getting to that point. Um, the reality of that is it's not true. That was stuff that we learned through trauma. That was stuff we weren't taught how to appreciate the things we were capable of doing. So when I'm going through and I'm writing my book and I'm editing little things here and there, I have to be easier on myself than I ever would be, because if I edit it too much, I'm overworking it and then my point's lost because I'm trying to fill in all this stuff with stuff that I'm trying to fill in all these blanks that my brain sees that are just filler words, and it just kills the point I'm trying to make. So a lot of my self-talk and negative self-talk and self-pity now, don't get me wrong, I have my days where I wonder if I'm a good leader or if I'm a good father or a good husband or a good friend or anything like that. I don't allow that stuff to bother me anymore. I don't allow myself to go down those rabbit holes because it affects everything and everyone around me. It is toxic and contagious. I've I have literally walked into rooms thinking negative things about myself, and it changed the mood of the room. Like people I was talking to for more than 2 seconds, their tone, what they started talking about changed. What they started doing, how they started acting changed. Um, I'm trying to figure out who my wife has. Oh, that's baby girl. Um, but the feeling unworthy and talking about yourself in a negative manner and feeling bad for yourself, sitting on your pity pot, that is something addicts and normal people do all the time. I have to talk my wife off of her pity pot all the time. She doesn't realize it. I'm surprised she's not butting in right now, but
What
I
are
do.
normal people?
People who are not addicts.
But I would say people are not normal. There is no such thing as normal in the United States.
I mean,
Sorry.
there's no
If
such
you
thing as
Google it,
normal.
it's a true
Normal
fact.
is relative. I know. Normal is relative. I'm using it to describe people who are addicts and not addicts.
I know, but still, that word just gets to me because there is no such thing as normal.
I can agree with that. So let's use the word not addicts.
Yeah, I guess that's one way to go about it. Like, there's a million different directions you could go, but
Yeah.
yeah, normal
Try to
people, it's
keep
just kind of, I would say that's kind of offensive to people that aren't addicts in general, or some people because of how there's defined normal. What is it?
that is true, and that's something I learned through AA. So that's probably a good thing you pointed that out, and I appreciate that. So
No problem.
the difference between there's really not a difference between addicts and non-addicts. One of the things that is different is non-addicts have been taught ways to deal with things that we have not been taught. whether it's how to deal with our emotions or to heal or whatever. And sometimes, even if they were taught, they don't use those tools and they get stuck in the loop just like us. So, with that, when we start getting into those negative mindsets of talking crappy about ourselves and taking pity on ourselves, we just keep pulling ourselves down and pulling ourselves down and not allowing ourselves to heal or grow up or mature. And that just turns into us being unworthy. And this being an addiction roadblock topic, this will kill um, your sobriety very quickly if you do not pay attention to it. Go ahead, Chris. I'm just blabbering at this point.
Frank, I want you to talk a little bit about the difference between negative self talk and putting yourself down and the idea of actually being humble. Because I feel that's something that a lot of people will struggle with because they probably don't know how to differentiate the two. Not giving yourself credit for something just because you may not be best at it isn't the same thing as being humble.
Okay, I think I see where you're going with this. So, negative self talk in that aspect, my description of negative self talk is when you are putting yourself down. When you, no matter what you do, no matter what you see, your internal dialogue in your brain, where there's no adult supervision, is telling you that you're never going to be good enough, that you'll never accomplish anything good, all these negative things. Being humble, and Chris brings up a good point. When I was first in sobriety, early in sobriety, I had a hard time dealing with what humble was and what humility was. And even to this day, the word humility I can't stand because it sounds like I'm about to be humiliated, and there's those are two completely different topics. So being humble is, in my opinion and practice, is having humility. To me, it's the same thing. Whether Webster's dictionary says it or not, I don't know and I don't care. Having humility and being humble to me are the same thing. Being humiliated is a whole nother topic we are not going to get into. Being humble is not allowing your ego or your pride make you look like, uh, yes, to make, not allowing your pride and your ego to get in the way of putting yourself above everybody else. So if you allow your pride and ego to put yourself above everybody else, you are not being humble. You are not being, you're not having any humility in that aspect. So um, say I write my book, and I'll just say my first book, for example. I self-published my first book. Other people out there writing books for the first time or their 15th time, and they've never self-published. I actually have a friend who's written an amazing book and she hasn't self-published, but she's waiting for the right time. If I was to take my achievement and be like, oh, well, now you're behind me, even though I started after you, and now I'm better than you because I've accomplished something that you haven't yet. I'm not being humble and I'm not having any humility. I'm literally rubbing something in the face. That's negative talk towards someone else. Being humble would be, you're amazing. Your writing is amazing, blah, blah, giving the other person compliments while also giving yourself the chance to appreciate your accomplishments without hurting anybody else. You can still appreciate your achievements without hurting people. That, I think, would be the easiest way to explain being humble and having humility. You don't have to try to one up someone else. You just appreciate what you've done and move on. It doesn't always have to be about you. That's where ego and pride come into play. Negative self-talk. I used to sit on my pity pot so much. And self-talk and self-pity for me, just negative self-talk and self-pity just come hand in hand for me. That's why I put them in both in the same topic. Because if you're dealing with self-pity, you're dealing with negative self-talk. Oh, poor me, why is this happening to me? I'm not good enough. I deserve all this bad shit to happen to me and blah blah blah. It's it's just gonna kill your motivation to keep going, to accomplish any types of goals that you have. So this being addiction roadblocks, how would you get past the negative self-talk and self-pity, and how would you get over the feeling of being unworthy? I'm done talking. You guys can talk.
So I guess for me, it would have been when I started recognizing my small accomplishments. Once I was able to start recognizing that I was making progress, I was able to stop talking down on myself for being at a roadblock, starting to see myself move forward, even if it was in just such a small way. But I feel like that's something that a lot of us just don't want to acknowledge because we never feel like it's enough.
Your turn, Josie.
What did I do? I am dizzy as hell because, yeah, parking garages are awesome while sober, but not at the same time because, yeah, fireworks, stairs, everything else that people think is amusing is definitely difficult when not on anything, when you have asthma.
Hmm.
But yes, I would say that kind of goes on to that because technically a while ago I would not do it because of a lot of freaking self looking down and all that shit. But like I said, paying attention but not paying attention. Because cities suck.
Okay then. So let's see. Let's think of an example. Chris, give me one of your magical questions. Get my brain rolling.
So, what was it that you first started to recognize your own progress instead of you looking at yourself feeling like you weren't doing nearly enough?
Me or him? Now, because I'm confused, I was listening to your question. I was going to say, I can answer that by being
Well,
able to deal with nonsense in the world and chaos without breaking down or thinking it's dumb. I would say that's definitely progress
mm-hmm.
because realizing you can't do everything for everyone else, but you can do it for yourself and actually enjoy shit at the same time.
And see, that's great progress. So, what was it that made you realize that you were capable of that instead of when you were always telling yourself that you weren't able to and talking down about how much you were actually capable of?
I would have to say, sadly, being by myself and walking to another freaking state and then deciding after that freaking walk and basically being fucking completely by myself, reaching out to homies that were actually safe to be around because they wanted me to do better and they were there and I went MIA on them, not the other way around.
I like that. 'Cause it's very similar to a lot of us because most of us have to realize this on our own. Frank, what about you? What made you realize that you were doing better, that you were no longer afraid of the progress you were making?
I had quite a few different instances. So to let you guys in on how my brain works a little bit, I have categories in my brain. I keep everything separated. Very organized chaos in my brain, like my desk and my workshop and everything else I do. Organized chaos. So I have everything separated. Work, home, finances. Those are my big three. I remember until I got sober, till after I got sober, I was almost 2 years sober. I sucked at finances because I talked about this last Monday meeting. I would always spend my money on alcohol or cigarettes or whatever the case was just to get through the weekend or get through my off time. So one of my biggest accomplishments when I stopped putting myself down financially was when I was able to save up enough money to pay off my DUI fine and also have money left over from the previous work's paycheck to the next Friday that I got paid. My whole life, even in the military, I never did that. But I still remember, I remember looking in my wallet and I still had $1 bill left from last paycheck. And I was like, I finally fucking made it. I did it. I've made progress. I know how to handle money now. I just keep putting the work forward and I'll be fine. And of course, everybody has ups and downs, and money's never been hard for me since that moment because I came to that realization and that awakening that I can actually do it if I just put my mind to it. And then I would say work, I was always trying to fight the system. I was always trying to go against what the bosses or the coworkers or anybody I worked with say. I would only listen to my brain and how I wanted to do it. I would never be open to learning how other people do stuff. And then once I got sober, I was willing and able to listen to other people, learn better, faster ways of doing stuff. And I was able to take that constructive criticism and put it forward to make my life easier without putting myself down because now I accepted that I wasn't the smartest guy in the room and I was allowing myself to learn new things. So I took that weakness that I had of thinking I was the smartest guy in the room and turned it around and turned it into a strength by accepting that I wasn't the smartest guy in the room and allowing myself to learn from the others around me, whether they were new to the job or whether they had been at the job for 20 some odd years. It didn't matter because people are just going to have different ideas and different ways of seeing things because no one's lived the same exact life I have. And that's how I deal with sobriety too. My sobriety is different than Chris's and different than Josie's and different than Dee's and different than Joe Blow's down the street. It's just how life is. And then when it comes to home, family, and friends, I've always been an introvert. I've never really cared to go out and talk to people. Now, if you see me at the gathering, you would think otherwise, because I am not an introvert at the gathering. You can ask Chris. I talk to everybody and their brother and won't shut up. My wife also knows this. When I get going on a topic that I love and care about, you cannot stop me for the life of anything. But even with that, I had to learn how to do that. I had to learn to be comfortable in talking to other people and greeting strangers that I've never known in my life. I had to learn to stop wondering if they're judging me or what they see when they first meet me or how they react to like how I am. What my epiphany in that was, I don't even remember when this came. My epiphany to stop wondering what other people thought about me when I first met them. It was one of my biggest fears, was to just be me, no matter what. If you like me, like me. If you don't, you don't. It's not gonna bother me either way. I had to finally accept me for me. And that was probably one of my hardest lessons to learn in life, was to accept myself for me. And once I was able to accept that, so much negative self-talk stopped. So much self-pity stopped. I never felt unworthy again, except for, I'm human. We all have down days and shitty days and stuff like that. That is normal for anybody watching or listening to this. It is normal. Do not allow yourself to get overwhelmed with the feeling of self-doubt or negative self-talk. And I'm afraid of that hand that just went up, because we all know it's going to talk shit about me, especially with that grin on her face. Never feel unworthy, because no matter what's going on in your life, someone in this world will understand. It does not mean that you are not worthy of their friendship, not worthy to live. Nothing in this world is bad enough for you to stop caring about yourself. You have to learn to accept yourself for who you are, be happy with who you are. And if you're not happy with who you are, guess what? You can fix that. It's only you that can fix that. All right, go ahead, Mrs. Shea. Unmute yourself.
Okay, so just to like touch in on the little bit of what you said, in general about like how the self-doubt and stuff like that, and how you would, constantly like go back and, kind of like clam up when certain people would say shit to you that you might not agree with or whatever. Like, seeing you finally getting rid of that was like a huge deal and like a huge step in the right direction for you. Because, we know I don't give a damn about a lot of things that people think about me sometimes, but there are some times that I do care what people think. And I think that the main thing of being able to actually get rid of all of that self-doubt, because when you doubt yourself, your self-worth in your eyes goes down. I had that problem before I met you. I mean, to some degree, because when I met you, it was I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks of me. Fuck this, fuck that. And
until certain topics. I can name one topic that still bothers you. If anyone, no matter who it is, why did you put a pizza up, Chris? If anybody, no, no matter who it is, this is your weakest point, and you've been doing pretty good at it. But I'm gonna call you out on it, because I don't have these opportunities very often. If anyone in the world ever calls you a bad mom, it's about a 3-week process to get you back to normal head.
You're not wrong there. And that is the one weak point that I have. I mean, I was called a bad mom for years by my ex-husband. So it takes a lot out of you, and it takes a long time to rebuild that within yourself to realize that you're not a bad mom or father or anything like that. But for me, it honestly took when you told me, like, you know, that I haven't given up on Henry's health situations and making sure that Henry gets what he needs. And honestly, his health care coordinator said almost the same thing as you. Like, you do any and everything you can for that child, and you are his voice till he is an adult. I was like, I'm gonna still be his voice till he's gone, or at least I am. And just hearing people say that, it does help take that mindset of, yeah, I'm really not that good. I'm really not that good at this or that. And it makes me personally realize that I put too much stock in what other people think versus what I think about myself, and your pizza and pear. And I hope you choke on that Dr. Pepper. I'm
Sorry,
done.
I couldn't help it. Do you have no other shit to talk about when it comes to me?
I
'Cause
mean,
you actually didn't talk shit. You actually brought me up. So you haven't brought me
I'm
down
not
in a
here
couple
to
of meetings.
always to put you down. You don't need your fucking ego popped yet. Your head isn't that big yet. Give it a
I
couple
feel
days.
like this is wrong.
I know. It's like, I don't know how to live my life right now.
This is
But I
uncharacteristic.
did like the fact that, you made a comment to me one time about how, if it wasn't for my constant, fuck off attitude to some people, that you would probably still be a little bit timid when it comes to some people in some situations. And, that is uplifting to someone who hasn't really been uplifted in 10 years.
So
It's also
I
not good at this time.
see, this is where it was a good balance between you and I. I would never
Yeah.
tell anybody to fuck off, and you would always tell people to fuck off. And now we've gotten to a point to where we are good at telling people at the right time for people to fuck off. Now, there's some points in both of our lives where we still have issues when it comes to this, but I was still able to learn from you how to do that, but I was only capable of learning from you because of how potent your fuck offness was. And a lot of it, like in the beginning, like I'm not gonna lie, it was extremely overwhelming to a lot of people. That's why people just don't fuck with you. You just have the reputation now. But for someone who's never met you before, it completely caught me off guard. This little timid, shy, introverted, never did anything wrong in his life type person, like compared to some of the shit that I've heard other people done, I don't have stories to match, and including my wife. And you'd be surprised, Chris. You'd be surprised. But
Shut
No,
up,
I wouldn't.
Frank.
I had to learn. In the beginning, it was hard for me to even grasp that a person like you even made it through life, never mind existed on this planet. Because I'd never seen that before. I've never witnessed it. I've never dealt with it because I never put myself around people who were so sure about themselves, at least outwardly, that they were capable of telling people to fuck off. But for me, because I'm so stubborn and thick-headed, a person like you who just wanted to be you and that was the end of the story, that's what I needed to open my eyes to be able to start going down that road. Now, even before you, I was making progress, but since I've known you, the progress in that area has been tenfold because I've been able to learn from the experience of being around people. And that just goes to show the more you surround yourself with people to learn from, the better off you're going to be in the long run.
Well, yeah, and like you also, it took me a hot minute to be able to be like that, but it was the people walking all over me on top of, I was like that as a kid. But I mean, even when people go into dealerships, like, when we went in with the truck, I would have cussed that dude out if you were not with me with the way he was talking. And that's where I love the life balance that you and I have, is because you were there. Oh yeah, I got pissed off and you fucking knew it. But the aspect and the avenue of the way I handled the situation was a lot better than what I would normally would have done, because I would have normally just walked off, told her fuck off, and I'm gonna get somebody else.
But see, the best part of that situation was he got humiliated because I had your back.
Yeah.
So to tell the story so other people understand what's going on, we go to the Ford dealership. I'm a Chevy guy, she's a Ford person, but she wanted a Ford pickup. So she's over there looking at trucks, I'm just following her around. The guy decided to dumb girl her and only talk to me. If you've talked to Stacy for more than 5 seconds, you know damn well that's not how life rolls in her world. So he's sitting there talking to me, and I keep telling him, don't talk to me, this is her truck, talk to her. So in front of me, she did the best thing she possibly could in the moment and started naming off aspects of a truck that he didn't even know, and made him look like a piece of crap at the dealership that he works at. She was like, oh, I know this and this and this and this, and I'm looking for this, this, and this. Do you have any trucks that have this, 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 and this, and this? And he was like, I don't know. Let me go check. And she was talking about the motors and all the interior stuff and external stuff. You name it. She named it all off. And yeah, like he tried to dumb girl the crap out of her, and she put him in his place just by proving to herself that she was better than that. And I don't even think he works there anymore, does he?
Oh, he does.
No, but he doesn't. I don't even think he talks to
He
us
doesn't
anymore.
even talk to me. Like,
No.
if I walk inside and his boss is in there, he'll be like, "Hey, Stacy," real cowardish and stuff like that. But I mean, like, when it comes to certain things, I think having a blunt personality is good, but having your support person backing you up even more helps the mentality. My mentality, it did, because you're the first person who's ever stood up behind me, beside me, when it comes to any kind of situation where you know that he's wrong, because I'm trying to prove to him that it's not for you, it's for me. Don't talk to you, talk to me.
And this is where the business side of Frank is going to come out and be shameless plug. This is what Juggalos in Recovery is all about: community.
Yes.
If you have the good community around you, it's what we're all about. If you have the good community around you, you have the right people in your corner, you can get through life a lot simpler and a lot easier.
Well, it's like the same thing that when I decided to trade the 2018 in to get the 2020 Mustang, he thought I was going to deal with him again because he had sold us the truck. And I said, at that very point in time, I said, over my dead fucking body, will I ever work with you again? And, that's when I got the guy that I bought my car from. But he tried the same shit. Maybe you should buy a 4-cylinder. I'm trading in a V8 and you want me to go smaller, knowing that I straight pipe and I da 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 da. And I was like, just leave me the fuck alone and get out of my face.
I'm sorry, Chris's reaction to your words is priceless.
Stacy, you only get EcoBoost.
I will never, ever buy that kind of a vehicle. I don't give a fuck if I'm having to pay $15 a gallon for gas. I will just make Frank get another job.
The best thing about this conversation is the only way she's ever owned a 4-cylinder was because her current Volvo has a turbo on it.
The only 4-cylinder I ever owned had a supercharger on it, so I understand.
Yeah, well, not me.
But like,
I've owned 4,
for
6,
me,
and 8 cylinders.
I'm not really. I don't like non-V8s. Like, V8s are my thing.
Okay, all right.
know.
We're let's get away from cars. This is not a car talk.
But
Yeah.
why? I'm being quiet because I'm walking in public, but I would say Mustangs are badass. And I would hate to get rid of mine because it had too much balls for me. So yeah.
I don't know. I really liked my
Or so they said.
supercharged Mini. I was never a big fan
Okay,
of the Mustang.
order in the court. Order in the court.
Okay, but if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't feel as comfortable in the situations of being able to handle myself when it comes, turn your phone down. When it comes to those situations where I feel like I'm self-doubting and putting myself down. If it wasn't for you and backing me and making me feel the support that I feel like I need at that time.
Okay, and with that, can you bring up an example of the opposite where it's you needed to give me a boost?
Yeah, when I told you to stop pushing specific things. Let me try. Let me get my words.
Oh God.
When I had to push you to start going to therapy after in my house, you told me I deserved all the abuse from my exes. I told you, you need to get help. I don't need fucking help. Yes, you do. You need to talk to someone because something is going on. Fuck you. Get the fuck out of my house till you start seeing someone.
I slept in my storage unit that night.
3 nights. 3 days. I don't know where the fuck you were, didn't call you, didn't text you, didn't give a shit. Even though I did give a shit, I just couldn't let you see that I gave a shit.
Here is the best part of having PTSD is it fucks with your memory. I only remember one of those 3 days.
Yeah.
And
you
it's the
were not
worst
fully
day.
moved out of your apartment too. So you could have literally been sleeping on the floor there like you did the 4th of July.
Oh, you're talking about before I deployed.
Yeah, in my house, not
Yeah.
Portales.
Well, yeah, but I thought that was after I came back from that deployment where I was already moved out of that house.
Nope.
I don't remember that at all then because I'm thinking of a different situation.
Yeah. I know what you're thinking about, but I went even further back in the memory banks.
Yeah. Nope, those memories are gone. PTSD took those.
But I mean, if it wasn't for that, me having to push you because you were rejecting my help, I had to put that fucking wall there. But it was so hard because I cared so much for you, but trying to put that because you have it's my way or the highway shit. And in that instant, fuck you, Frank. It was not about you. Like, it was not going to be your way. It was going to be my way. And you didn't like it. But if it wasn't for me making it my way, we wouldn't be where we're at right this second.
So
And I
anybody out
love where
there,
we're at.
anybody out there who's in any type of relationship, understand that life is not perfect. Neither is your partner. Neither are you. You will have ups, you will have downs, and then you will have days where you just want to strangle the other person. That is the reality of living with another human being in a relationship with the other human being. But no matter what anybody says, if you find the right person, no matter what you guys are going through, you will know when it's worth it because you will only think about that person. No matter if you're mad at them, no matter if part of you wants to never see them again, you will still think about them all the time. You will see them in your mind's eye all the time. Those people, the ones who call you out, the ones who hold you accountable. Before I met Stacy, the only other person who would hold me accountable was my mother. So I went from 2012 to 2018 without having anyone hold me accountable for how I dealt with people, how I dealt with others, anything. Even in my sobriety, I went through sobriety basically by myself because I was allowed to. I talked to other people, I had random friendships and whatever, and a lot of those people I still talk to, but no one held me accountable. I never allowed anyone close enough to hold me accountable. And then I didn't have a choice one day because I met a fiery personality who decided to make it their life goal to make sure that I had a person in my corner who was watching out for me no matter what. And I would never change that. It helped me get rid of the negative self-talk, self-pity, unworthiness, and you can ask her. I've had many a times when I've talked to her about things where I was putting myself down and I was sitting on my pity pot and I felt unworthy to even be in the same household as her, never mind in the same state. Even like within the last couple of years, I can think of a couple times I've actually brought it up to her. I just had bad days. But the reality, not even the reality, life will give you exactly what you need when you need it. And life gave me Stacy, and Stacy helps me. She's part of my community. Community is where it stands. Your community does not have to be Juggalos in recovery. Your community can be whatever works for you, as long as your community stands by you every step of the way. Take that for a short, Chris. With that, I don't think there's a better way to end a meeting. So with that, I believe no matter how long the road, if we walk together, we will get there. Even though we will face some of the darkest evil ever seen, we will face it as a community and stand fearless in its path. Nothing will stop us. With the help of our family and our community, we will overcome the persecution and tribulations that life may cast from time to time. To the ones who still suffer and haven't found the path to serenity and community, we will continue to search for you and help you no matter your ailment. We carry our stories and messages to everyone who will listen. As the sun descends and the night becomes, we arise and take the path. I love you all very much. Thank you for coming to another extremely late night meeting for me. I will talk to you again. Josie, it's good seeing you. Chris.
Same to you.
Yeah, I know. I'm just here. Stacy,
as
I
always.
appreciate all your gigantic personality over there.
You're welcome, I guess.
All right, with that, I'm gonna end the call.
Love
Don't
you.
forget, love you, and you, all three of you. Don't forget to subscribe. Peace.